Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, lecture number 12 business economics ECU 400 में खुश आमदीद। सबसे पहले हम पिछले लेक्चर की बात करेंगे. We'll try to review what we have learned in the last lecture, and then we'll proceed for today's lecture. So we discussed about the monopolistic competition. That was one of the market structure in the last class. And we said that it is a market structure which is characterized by three attributes. There are number one, there are many sellers of the product. They sell. Number two, they sell differentiated products. And the third attribute which we have discussed in case of monopolistic competition, that was free entry and exit. So no restriction on the entry and exit of the firm. So three attributes of monopolistic competition: one, many sellers; number two, differentiated products; and three, the free entry and exit of the firms. And we have also discussed that the equilibrium in a perfect monopolistic competitive market differs from the perfect competition market in that each firm has an excess capacity in case of monopolistic competition, which is not in case of perfect competition, and each firm charge higher price than the price which is charged by the firms in perfectly competitive market. So this is because of these 2 points we can differentiate this market structure from the monopolistic competition. Number one, that is there is excess capacity within the firms under monopolistic competition, and they charge higher prices than as compared to the perfect competitive market. And we have also discussed that monopolistic competition does not have all the desirable properties of perfect competition. So there is a standard. Moreover, we have also discussed that there is a standard deadweight loss of monopoly caused by markup over price over marginal cost. Since MC price is greater than marginal cost in case of monopolistic competition, so there is a standard normal deadweight loss of monopoly in this case also. But keep in mind, this deadweight loss to the society or loss to the individual is less than as compared to the loss of monopoly, because monopolistic, in case of monopoly, there is no competition, there is only single seller of the product. But in case of monopolistic competition, there are many sellers. They are competing with each other, although they sell differentiated products, but they are competing because they are selling the same products. There is a little bit difference in the product quality or the kind of the product, but of course they have to face competition in monopolistic competitive market. We have also talked about that we cannot sure about the monopolistic competition about the number of the firms. It could be too large or it could be too small, so it varies from industry to industry. So we cannot exactly say whether there are large number of firms or small number of firms in a monopolistic competitive market. The product differentiation inherent in monopolistic competition leads to the use of advertising and brands. So since the product which is being sold under the monopolistic competitive market is differentiated, and the firms has to face competition among each other. तो किस तरह वो अपने revenue को बढ़ा सकते हैं, किस तरह profit बढ़ा सकते हैं, and how they can sell more of their product. So they can take the use of advertising and brand. So they have, by spending on advertisement, so they can increase increase the sale of the product and revenue and output, as well as they can maximize their profit. Similarly, they can use brand to make their product different, and they can sell more and they can earn more. But critics of the brands argue that firms use advertising and brands name to take advantage of consumer irrationally and to reduce competition, right? So but defenders argue that firms use advertising and brand names to inform consumers and to compete more vigorously on price and product quality, right? So if they use advertising and brands, so they basically inform, our consumers are informed about the price and the quality of the product, right? So this is what the defender says. So this is all. We have also seen in last time how the firms can maximize profit and in monopolistic competition. So we have discussed two time period. हमने शॉर्ट रन की बात की और लॉन्ग रन की बात की. शॉर्ट रन में हमने कहा कि कुछ फर्म्स प्रॉफिट कमाती हैं और कुछ फर्म्स को नुकसान होता है. तो जब फर्म प्रॉफिट कमाती हैं तो नई फर्म्स एंटर हो जाती हैं और प्रॉफिट मार्जिन डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो जाता है और लॉन्ग रन में प्रॉफिट नॉर्मल हो जाता है. इसी तरह हमने बात की जब कुछ फर्म्स को नुकसान हो रहा होता है इन शॉर्ट रन, तो व्हाट विल हैपन दैट सम ऑफ द एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म एग्जिट फ्रॉम द इंडस्ट्री, दे इंडस्ट्री छोड़ देती हैं और जो एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म्स होती हैं उनका जो है प्रॉफिट बढ़ जाता है, लॉस कम हो जाता है और दे स्टार्ट अर्निंग प्रॉफिट, और इन द लॉन्ग रन ऑल फर्म्स इन द इंडस्ट्री विल स्टार्ट अर्निंग नॉर्मल प्रॉफिट. So this was all about the third market structures that we have discussed last time, and that was the monopolistic competition. Now today we'll talk about the another market structure which is one of the form of imperfect competition, and that is about the oligopoly. तो oligopoly की हम बात करेंगे. What we are going to learn in this lecture, अगर आप देखें स्लाइड में, we would like to understand about the oligopoly. What is oligopoly? How we can differentiate oligopoly from other market structure, that is perfect competition, monopoly and monopolistic competition. And then we'll talk about competition, monopolies and cartels. We'll talk about these three different concepts, and then we'll try to establish the equilibrium of an oligopolistic firm, and then we'll also talk about the size of the oligopoly firms, how many firms are there in an oligopoly market structure, and then we'll try to explain the prisoner dilemma, or we'll talk about the game theory, how the firms under oligopoly can maximize their profit, how they can interact with each other. यहाँ पे हम strategic interaction की बात करेंगे कि how they interact with each other, whether they are going to cooperate with each other or they are going to their own way. And then finally we'll talk about the public policy. What is the public policy toward oligopoly? So this is the sequence of the lecture for today's class. So this is how we are going to learn about oligopoly. So we start with in understanding the concept of oligopoly. So as we said that it is somewhere between monopoly and perfect competition. We have a market structure that is known as imperfect competition. So imperfect competition refers to those market structures that fall between monopoly and perfect competition. जैसा कि हमें मालूम है, in case of monopoly there is only single seller of the product, and in case of perfect competition there are large number of sellers. So this imperfect competition falls or lies between monopoly and perfect competition. So दोनों के दरमियान में है. So we can say that it is the market structure when we say that there are many firms in the industry. Now imperfect competition includes industries in which firms have competition but do not face so much competition that they are price taker. So there is a competition in case of imperfect competition, but it is not like as a perfect and as we have in perfect competition, and we cannot say that firms are price taker. Now there are two types of imperfectly competitive markets. One is the oligopoly, other is the monopolistic competition. Now how we define an oligopoly market structure? When we say that, when we use the word few, when there are few firms in the industry, each firm is offering similar or identical product to the others is called oligopolistic market structure, right? So when we use the word few and they are selling identical or similar product to the other in the market, so that sort of structure is known as the oligopolistic market structure. तो जब हम कहते हैं कि यहाँ पे चंद एक फर्म्स होती हैं किसी इंडस्ट्री में, तो उस मार्केट स्ट्रक्चर नॉर्मली द नंबर और द साइज ऑफ द ओलिगोपोलिस्टिक मार्केट स्ट्रक्चर इज लेस देन 10 फर्म, 10 और लेस देन 10 फर्म. तो उस इंडस्ट्री को जिसमें 10 या लेस देन 10 फर्म्स हों, तो हम कहते हैं कि दिस इज एन ओलिगोपोली मार्केट स्ट्रक्चर. नाउ द सेकंड टाइप ऑफ imperfect competition is the monopolistic competition, जिसको हमने in detail पिछली क्लास में डिस्कस किया, in which we say that there are many firms in the industry and they sell similar, the product is similar but not identical. They sell differentiated product in the market. Now when we say that market with only few sellers is the oligopoly market, so because of few sellers in the market, the key feature of oligopoly is the tension between cooperation and self-interest. So when we say that market is comprised of only few sellers, so then the key feature of an oligopolistic market is that is the tension between cooperation and self-interest, whether the firms which exist in the industry, they are going to cooperate with each other and then they act like as a monopolistic firm, or they take their self-interest and go their own ways, अपना डिसीजन खुद करेंगे या cooperation की बात करेंगे, right? So this is the tension between cooperation and self-interest, how the firms behave in the case when there are only few firms in the industry, whether they are going to cooperate with each other or they are going to consider their self-interest. So this is basically the this is one of the feature of the oligopolistic firm, oligopolistic market, and that is what we are going to discuss in today's lecture in detail. Now as we said that oligopoly is a market structure in which there are only few firms in the industry. So what are the characteristics or the feature of an oligopoly market structure? Number one, when we say number one, there are few sellers who are offering similar and identical products in the market. Number two, there is interdependence among the firms, right? The firms are interdependent on each other, right? So they depend, or the decision of one firm depend on the decision of the other firms. So right, so when they are deciding about the price, quantity, whatever decision they are going to make, so they have to consider what their rival or competitor are going to decide about their product. So interdependence of the firms exist in case of oligopolistic market structure. Number three, they will be better off if they cooperate and act like a monopolistic firm and they charge price greater than marginal cost, right, and produce less quantity, charge higher prices, and their profit will be more. But they will not be better off, or you can say they will be even worse off if they don't cooperate and they produce at their own, they supply at their own decision, they make their own decision, they take their self-interest, right? So in that case they will not be better off. So they will be better off only if they cooperate and charge higher prices and produce or sell less quantity of the output and get higher profit. Now a best example of oligopoly is the duopoly. So a duopoly is a kind of an oligopolistic market structure with only two firms or two members. So it is simplest type of an oligopolistic market structure, right? So for a simplicity, just to explain, so we take an example of a duopoly, and in which we say that when there are two firms in the industry, so how they behave, how they interact with each other. So that is the case that we are going to discuss in the subsequent slides. Aapko just see the demand schedule for water, how is the demand in case of oligopoly or duopoly, or what is the shape of the demand curve in case of oligopoly. And so we are going to discuss or show you in this table. This table has three columns. Pehle column mein aap dekhein, it is the quantity of water in gallons, and second is the price, and third is the total revenue, or total within bracket total profit. Because why we call the total revenue total profit? Because there is no cost of the seller. He has to bear no cost when he is selling water to the customers, right? So that's why total revenue is also the profit of the firm. Now if we look at when the quantity of water is 0, the price is 120, so then revenue is 0. So when quantity is 10 gallons of water, we see the price, as the quantity goes up, the price goes down from 120 to 110, and the total revenue of the firms goes up from 0 to $1,100, right? Similarly, if the quantity of water further goes up from 10 to 20 gallons, so you can see that with the increase in quantity, as we know that the price further goes down from 110 to 100, right? So when the price is 100, so total revenue will be $2,000. So how we obtain this total revenue? As I told you earlier, that total revenue is equal to price into quantity. If you multiply the price with quantity produced and sold in the market, you will get the total revenue, that is 2,000. Similarly, if price of quantity of water further goes up from 20 to 30 gallons, price further goes down from 10 to 100 to 90, and the revenue or the profit goes to 27. This process goes until quantity, if there is increase in quantity, till 60 gallons. Now what is the revenue of the firm at 60 gallons? The price is $60 and the revenue is $3,600, and which is also the profit of the firm in this example. So if the quantity further goes up from 60 to 70 gallons, then of course price further goes down and the revenue or the profit goes down. So we can say that 60 Q, when the quantity produced, a quantity sold is 60 gallons of water, the price is 60. This is the unit, this is the quantity where the profit of the firm is maximum. If the firm sell after this quantity any number, so its revenue or its profit goes down instead of increasing. So this is the optimal price, which is $60, and this is the optimal quantity, and this is the maximum revenue or profit of the firm at price 60 and quantity 60. So you can use this table in drawing the diagram of demand. So as we see in the table, the relationship between quantity and price is negative, so of course the slope of demand curve will be negative. So as we measure price on y-axis, quantity on x-axis, the shape of the curve will be downward sloping. But as we know that this is somewhere between monopoly and perfect competition, so the demand curve will not be flatter, completely flatter or steeper. It will be as flatter but not as we have in monopolistic competition, because in monopolistic competition the number of firms is more than the oligopolistic market, so it is comparatively less flatter as we have in the monopolistic market structure. And now we continue to explain this table. Now we'll talk about price and quantity. The price of water in a perfectly competitive market, as we know that, would be driven to where the marginal cost is 0, so that price and marginal cost in case of perfect competition is equal to 0. So quantity will be 120 gallons. So but the price and quantity in monopoly market would be $60, and the quantity sold will be $60, 60 gallons also. So in this case the revenue will be $3,600, but in that case, in case of perfect competition, there is no revenue, since 0 price, 0 quantity, 0 marginal cost, and then the quantity is only maximum, which is 120 gallon. Now price and quantity supplied, जब इसकी हम बात करते हैं तो we'll talk about the social efficient quantity of water is 120 gallons, but monopolistic firm would produce only 60 gallons of water, because while producing 60 gallons of water, he is charging $60 per gallon the price and the revenue or the profit of the firm or the monopolistic firm is maximum when the quantity is 60 gallon. So what outcome then could be expected from the dop list, right? So we can say that the dop list may agree on a monopoly outcome. What is monopoly outcome? जिसकी हमने अभी बात की कि perfect monopolistic firm जो है वो produce करेगी 60 gallons of water and which is being sold at $60 per gallon and he is earning the maximum profit. Now what should the duopoly do with this outcome? The duopolist may agree on a monopoly outcome and they can, so how they can agree? So there are two sort of agreement, or there are two possibilities with the duopolistic firm. One is that they can make collusion, right? Collusion is an agreement among the firms in a market about quantities to produce and price to charge. So in an oligopoly market structure, collusion is a sort of an agreement and that can be made or signed between the firms in the industry about the price of the product to be charged and quantity of the product to be produced. So this is an agreement. So this one possibility with the duopolist firm of this is that they can make an collusion or they can write an agreement how much they should produce and how much they should charge from the customers. Second, they can make cartels, a group of firms acting like a monopoly, right? So they can make a group, they can charge the same price and produce the same quantity, supply the same quantity in the market. So they make a cartel, they can act like a monopolistic. Although oligopolistic would like to form cartels and earn monopoly profits, often it is not possible, it is undesirable situation, because in case of cartel they act like a monopolistic firm, and as we know that monopolistic firm जो होती हैं वो प्राइस हाई चार्ज करती हैं और क्वांटिटी लेस प्रोड्यूस करती हैं, लेस सप्लाई करती हैं मार्केट में, and they are producing less, they are in efficient scale of production. So price is charging the price which they are charging is high, so they get maximum profit, and which is in that case, in case of monopoly, and the deadweight loss to the society is high, right? So oligopolistic firm would like to, or the duopolistic firm would like to go for the cartel and earn monopoly profit, but it is undesirable and not possible. And why it is not possible? Because there are antitrust laws that prohibit the agreements as well as the cartels which can exist, which can prevail among the oligopolistic firm. And this is the matter of the government, this is the matter of public policy, right? So they introduce different antitrust laws which can basically control or prohibit the agreements and cartels among the oligopolistic firm. So हमने जब इसको relate किया outcome of monopoly को with the oligopolistic firm, तो हमने देखा कि duopolist और the oligopolistic firms के पास क्या possibilities हो सकती हैं. तो हमने ये कहा कि oligopolistic के पास दो possibilities हो सकती हैं. Number one, they can make a collusion in which they can write an agreement about the price to be charged and the product to be produced and supplied in the market. Number two, they can make cartels, they can make a group and they can act like a monopolistic firm. तो मोनोपोली की तरह एक्ट करते हैं और प्राइस चार्ज करते हैं, हाई चार्ज करते हैं और क्वांटिटी लेस प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, एंड दे अर्न मोनोपोली प्रॉफिट. बट it is not socially desirable, it is also not possible because of the antitrust laws by the government, and by those laws the government want to prohibit the agreements and cartels as a matter of public policy. Now we will talk about the equilibrium for an oligopolistic firm, and the equilibrium which we attain or we get under the oligopolistic market structure, or you can say under the duopoly which we have we are considering the example of oligopoly market, is known as the Nash Equilibrium. Now, what is the Nash Equilibrium? Nash basically was an economist and who has given the equilibrium in case of an oligopoly market structure because of his name. So, and the outcome or the principle or the which he has given is known as the Nash Equilibrium. A Nash Equilibrium is a situation in which economic actors are you can say the firms interacting with one another, each chooses their best strategy given the strategies that all the other have chosen, right? So if that is the case, that is known as the Nash Equilibrium. There are many actors, if we talk about simple duopolies, then there are two actors, right, which are competing with each other. So when they interact with each other, and each one of the economic actor or the firm chooses their best strategy given the strategies that all the other firms have chosen. So they must consider what other firms have chosen, what they have decided to produce and charge, and then they decide about their strategy. So if that is the situation, so that kind of situation is known as the Nash Equilibrium. So when firms in oligopoly individually choose production to maximize profit, they produce quantity of output greater than the level produced by monopoly and less than the level produced by competition, right? So what we can understand from this paragraph is that जब कोई एक oligopolistic firm individually without cooperating produce करती है और in order to maximize their profit, and so that quantity would be greater than, of course, than the level of output produced by a monopolistic firm and the produced by the firm under competition, right? So the oligopoly price is less than the monopoly price always, because in case of oligopoly there are few firms which are competing with each other, which are either they are cooperating or producing at their own or taking self-interest of each other of their own, but in case of monopoly we have only one firm, no competition. So the price charged by an oligopolistic firm is always less than the monopoly price, but greater than the price charged by the firms working in perfect competition or the competitive market, where price is equal to marginal cost. So हमने क्या नतीजा अखज़ किया, हमने ये बात की कि नैश इक्विलिब्रियम क्या सिचुएशन होती है, हमने बात की कि जब economic actors or the firms interact with each other and decide to produce the quantity of output, so they will choose the best strategy in order to decide the production of the product, while considering or taking into consideration of the strategies of the other firm which they have chosen to produce the product. So that sort of situation is known as the Nash Equilibrium. इसकी अभी हम डिटेल में आगे एग्जांपल से हम एक्सप्लेन करेंगे कि what is the Nash Equilibrium, how firms can attain or come at the Nash Equilibrium. So but in case of monopoly and oligopoly, when individual firms choose to produce a certain product, they will produce more than the output or the production of an oligopoly and monopoly firm, as well as and less than the production of by the competitive firm. हमने ये कहा कि जब एक इंडिविजुअल oligopolistic firm प्रोडक्शन करती है किसी चीज़ की, तो उसकी प्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा होगी than the monopoly और थोड़ी होगी, less होगी than the production of a competitive firm. एंड उसके बाद हमने प्राइस की बात की, हमने प्राइस को कंपेयर किया आउटपुट के बाद, हमने ये कहा द प्राइस चार्ज बाय द oligopolistic firm is always less than the monopoly price, but the price is greater than the firm under perfect competition where price is equal to marginal cost. Now जब हमने कहा कि प्राइस जो है oligopolistic firm की is greater than the monopoly price, less than the monopoly price, and the reason and the logic is that in monopoly only single seller, so they charge higher prices. In case of oligopoly there is a competition, there are few sellers in the market, so because of the competition they charge less price as compared to the monopolistic price, and they charge higher price, greater price than the price charged by the perfect competition, because in perfect competition price is equal to marginal cost. Now, how the size of an oligopoly affects the market outcome? How increasing the number of sellers affect the price and quantity? अगर जैसा कि हमने अभी बात की, so far we have talked about, we have taken the example of a duopoly, and duopoly is a form of an oligopoly market structure, जिसमें हमने बात की कि there are two firms in the industry, how they interact, how they decide price of the product. But suppose if the size of an oligopoly or the size of the firm is, the size of the market has increased by increasing the number of sellers. So how this increase in number of sellers can affect the price and quantity of the oligopolistic market? The output, first we see what will be the output effect, because price is above, as we know that in case of oligopoly, price is above than the marginal cost. Now when the price is above than the marginal cost, selling more at the going price raises profit. तो जैसा कि हम जानते हैं कि in case of oligopoly, the price is greater than marginal cost, but of course that price is less than the monopoly price, but it is always greater than marginal cost. तो जब मार्जिनल कास्ट से प्राइस ज़्यादा होती है, तो जब नई फर्म्स इंडस्ट्री में आती हैं, तो इट मीन्स दे सप्लाई मोर, दे प्रोड्यूस मोर, एंड द आउटपुट हैज़ इंक्रीज्ड, क्वांटिटी प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड सोल्ड हैज़ इंक्रीज्ड. तो जब एग्जिस्टिंग प्राइस पे जो सेलिंग प्राइस ऑलरेडी मार्केट में चल रही है इन ऑलिगोपोली मार्केट स्ट्रक्चर, जब उस पर आप बेचते हैं ज़्यादा क्वान्टिटी को, तो ऑफ कोर्स this will raise the profit of the firms. So so one effect of the increase in number of sellers in the market is on output, and we have seen that, we have said that अगर number of sellers बढ़ते हैं in case of an oligopoly market, तो क्या होगा, और उसका आउटपुट इफेक्ट होगा. और आउटपुट इफेक्ट क्या है कि नंबर ऑफ सेलर बढ़ने से आउटपुट प्रोड्यूस और सप्लाई जो है वो बढ़ जाती है. जब वो बढ़ती है तो एग्जिस्टिंग प्राइस या सेलिंग प्राइस पे अगर आप उसको बेचते हैं तो नेचुरली दिस विल रेज द प्रॉफिट ऑफ द फर्म. सेकंड इफेक्ट ऑफ द इंक्रीज इन नंबर ऑफ सेलर्स in the market is on the price, that is known as the price effect. Now raising production will of course increase the supply of the product or the quantity sold in the market, which in turn will lower the price of the product, and the profit per unit sold on all units, profit per unit on all units sold will go down, right? So increase in number of firms in the oligopoly market has two effects. Number one, output effect. Output effect, how we can explain this effect? हमने कहा कि जब नंबर ऑफ सेलर्स बढ़ते हैं तो क्या होता है, द क्वांटिटी प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड सोल्ड जो है वो बढ़ जाती है. तो व्हेन यू सेल द मोर आउटपुट, मोर क्वांटिटी at the selling price or at the existing price which is greater than the marginal cost, of course this will raise the profit of the firm. Second is the price effect. Now जैसा कि हमने कहा कि जब नंबर ऑफ सेलर्स बढ़ते हैं तो प्रोडक्शन बढ़ती है, प्रोडक्शन बढ़ती है तो सप्लाई बढ़ती है. जब सप्लाई बढ़ती है किसी चीज़ की इन द मार्केट, and that reduce the price and profit of the firm on per unit on sold unit of the product. So as the number of sellers in oligopoly grows larger, so an oligopolistic market looks more and more like a competitive market. तो जैसा कि हमने कहा कि अगर this process continue और number of sellers बढ़ते जाते हैं, size जो है oligopoly market का बढ़ता जाता है, so this would, in the end, this would look like a competitive market where we see that price is equal to marginal cost and price is equal to marginal revenue as well as average revenue. So price approaches marginal cost and the quantity produced approaches the socially efficient point at efficient level. And what is the efficient level? As we have seen in the previous lecture, the firms is producing at the efficient level in perfectly competitive market when and the marginal cost passes through the minimum point of the average total cost curve. तो जब average total cost minimum होती है जिस point पे, that is the point where the firm is producing at efficient level, and that is known as also known as the socially efficient scale of production. So this is how the size of an oligopoly market affects the market outcome. तो हमने बात की कि किस तरह से number of firms बढ़ें तो इफेक्ट करती हैं मार्केट को. तो हमने कहा कि एक आउटपुट इफेक्ट होगा. आउटपुट इफेक्ट में हमने देखा कि उसके ज़्यादा सेल करने से सेम प्राइस पे प्रॉफिट बढ़ जाता है. और दूसरा जो है प्राइस इफेक्ट होगा. प्राइस इफेक्ट कैसे होगा? जब नंबर ऑफ फर्म्स बढ़ जाएंगी, प्रोडक्शन बढ़ेगी, सप्लाई बढ़ेगी और इन टर्न क्या होगा, उसकी प्राइस चीज़ की कम हो जाएगी और प्रॉफिट भी कम हो जाएगा. Now we'll talk about the game theory and the economics of cooperation. How we can relate the concept of game theory with the concept of economics of cooperation, and how the firms can benefit, utilize this concept, can get maximum profit or maximum price and sell maximum quantity in the market. So game theory basically is the study of how people behave in strategic situation. So game theory basically deals with in the strategic decisions are made by the firms. Now what are the strategic decisions? Basically these are the decisions in which each person in deciding what action to take must consider how others might respond to that action. तो strategic action are those action in which जब कोई फर्म एक डिसीजन करती है तो वो हमेशा जहन में रखेगी या कंसीडर करेगी इस बात को कि how the other firms are going to react or how the other firms are going to make decisions. So that sort of decisions are known as the strategic decisions of the firm. So game theory basically study how the people behave in these strategic situations, how they behave. So when they have to make strategic decisions, how they behave, how they work, so that is known as the game theory. Now because number of firms in the oligopolistic market is small, so each firm must act strategically. So each firm knows that its profit depends not only how much he produces but also on how much the other firm produce. So when we talk about game theory, so we have to discuss the strategic decisions or strategic situations of the firms. So in that case, the firm must see when the firm want to decide and how much he or she should produce. So it depends how much its competitor or the other firms in the industry produce. So they must consider while deciding its output to produce. So this is clear. So we'll game theory और आगे चल के थोड़ी सी आपको क्लियर हो जाएगी कि किस तरह with the help of game theory the firms in oligopoly market structure can decide about their strategic decision. They can make strategic decision which are in the best interest of the both of the firms. Now we'll try to explain the game theory and the economics of cooperation with the help of prisoner dilemma, which is one of the famous dilemma of which is one of the famous example of game theory. Now what is the prisoner dilemma? It provides insights into the difficulty in maintaining cooperation, right? So this basically the prisoner dilemma tells us what difficulties the criminals faces in maintaining cooperation and to get maximum benefit by cooperating with each other. Now often people or the firms fail to cooperate with one another even when cooperation would make them better off. They know that, उनको पता है कि if they cooperate and they produce by cooperating with each other, they supply by cooperating with each other, they charge price by cooperating with each other, they know that both of them will be better off, they will be getting maximum profit. But most of the time they take their self-interest and they fail to cooperate with each other. So when they fail to cooperate with each other, so they are less better off, comparatively less better off as if they cooperate with each other. So the prisoner dilemma is a particular game between two captured prisoners that illustrate why cooperation is difficult to maintain even when it is mutually beneficial. तो ये एक्सप्लेन करता है प्रिजनल डायलेमा, एक ऐसी सिचुएशन को, एक ऐसी गेम को बिटवीन द टू कैप्चर्ड प्रिजनर्स जिन्होंने एक इलीगल गन जो है अपने पास रखी हुई थी, तो दैट वाज नॉट लीगली अलाउड. तो दैट illustrate why cooperation is difficult to maintain even when they know that it is beneficial both of them. तो इस चीज़ को, प्रिजनर डायलेमा को हम कोशिश करेंगे एक्सप्लेन करने की with the help of table which is given below, और जो कि आपको सामने स्लाइड पे नज़र आ रहा है अगर आप देखें. and this table has on the top we have prisoner 1, which is the name of the prisoner is you can say Bonnie, is one of the prisoner, and the other prisoner is Clydes decision. So both prisoner has to make decision what are the options available to both of the prisoners are. So for Bonnie's, of course he or she has to make decision between two options. One of the option with Bonnie is that either he confess or remain silent. The similar options are available to the Clydes, and he also got an option of confessing or remain silent. Now we see that, so if they cooperate with each other, if they decide before going to be investigated, if they decide both of them keep silent, they cooperate, so they will get benefit, and because they will get 1 year jail if they cooperate with each other and decide to keep silent. But you know, it's difficult, as we said, that most of the time difficult for the individual, difficult for the firm to make cooperation with each other, even they know that it is beneficial, दोनों के लिए फ़ायदेमंद है. तो हम जो 4 possibilities हैं इस गेम की उनको देखते हैं और डिसाइड करते हैं कि which option is कौन सा जो दोनों prisoner हैं what strategy they are going to adopt. Now suppose हम ये देखें कि अगर दोनों कन्फेस करें तो दोनों को 8 years जो है जेल होती है, 8 year के लिए जेल जाना पड़ता है. Then if we see that the second option, the second strategy where Clyde remains silent and Bonis she remains silent and Clyde is confess. तो what will happen? So बोनिस को जो है 20 साल की सज़ा हो जाती है और दूसरा जो जिसने कन्फेस किया है उसको वो फ्री हो जाता है. Similar situation is here when Clyde is remain silent and then Bonis confess. So when he remains silent, he will be punished for 20 years and Bonis get free because he has confessed the crime. And last column अगर आप देखें कि जहाँ पे if both of them remain silent, तो क्या सूरत हाल है? Bonnie gets 1 year jail or punishment, and Clyde also gets 1 year punishment. What is the best strategy for the both firm? If they, so होता क्या है कि जो पुलिस है independently दोनों से investigate करती है. तो first when they investigate from Bonnie, so he doesn't know what the other prisoner is going to decide, what other prisoner is going to, what strategy he is going to adopt, whether he is going to confess or he is going to remain silent. So he doesn't know, but he makes his own decision, and he said that he is going to confess the crime. So if he confess, so then he will go for 8 years jail. And then similar when the police or when the authorities ask Clyde separately about which strategy he is going to adopt, so he also thinks that he is going to confess, so he is not going to cooperate with the other prisoners, so he is going to confess also, and then the best strategy for him is confessing. So when he or she confesses, of course he will be jailed for 8 years. So the best strategy, the Nash Equilibrium, would be like for both without knowing what other going to make decisions. So is the first column, first box where both are going to confess and they are going to for the prison for 8 years. But the best strategy for them, if they cooperate with each other, they interact with each other. The decision which they have made before going to be investigated, that was that they remain silent, but they don't cooperated with each other. They don't keep. They both of them said that they've confessed the crime, so they are in not better situation. So they have to face 8 years in prison, as compared to if they remain silent, and both of them will get 1 year jail. So this is how the prisoner dilemma is known, or can be explained. Now we'll try to relate this prisoner dilemma or the game theory with the concept of oligopoly or the oligopoly market structure. How this game theory or the dilemma, prisoner dilemma, is related to the market. तो इसको हम आगे जाके बात करेंगे इसकी. Now, when we talk about the game theory and the economics of cooperation, तो यहाँ पे एक concept है dominant strategy का. Now, dominant strategy is the best strategy for the player to follow, regardless of the strategies chosen by the other players. So, he or she, the strategy which he is going to select is the dominant strategy, regardless. He doesn't care about whatever the other player is going to adopt the strategy, right? So that strategy is known as the dominant strategy. जैसे कि अगर आप suppose आप एक player है, एक मैं player हूँ, तो we decide, when I am going to decide strategy about certain product, उसकी production की या price की, तो I don't care about you. मैं अपना decision करूँगा कि this is the decision which is better for me, and this should be the price, this should be the quantity of the product, regardless what you are going to decide about the price and product of the quantity of the product. So cooperation is difficult to maintain, as we know that, because cooperation is not in the best interest of the individual player. So individual player के हक में नहीं होती, but it is better if they cooperate and they interact, so they can get maximum benefit. तो इस चीज़ को explain करते हैं. An oligopoly game, जैसा कि हमने prisoner dilemma हमने discuss किया, तो we'll try to explain the oligopoly game in the form of a prisoner dilemma. जहाँ पे देखें on the top, अगर इस table में देखें, we have two countries. On top we have Iraq. Iraq has to make decision about Iraq has got two options: high production of oil and low production of oil. Similarly, on the other side of this table, we have Iran. Iran has to make decision about the production of oil, whether high production and or low production. Now suppose we have four strategies, four possibilities available. If first we talk about Iraq, so if Iraq decide to produce high produce, so so what would be the best strategy for Iraq? If Iraq decide to produce high level production of oil, the best strategy हम देखते हैं कि क्या होगी उसके लिए. अगर first हम box को लेते हैं और जहाँ पे high production है oil की by Iraq, तो Iraq gets $40 billion in returns, and if Iraq low production of oil, so Iraq gets $30 billion in returns. And if we see that if Iraq production is high, when in the third column, so here Iraq gets $60 billion. In the fourth box, Iraq gets $50 billion while producing at low level, right? But the best strategy for Iraq is, the dominant strategy for Iraq is to produce the oil at high level, because while producing oil at high level, he is getting the maximum returns, which is 40 billions. But similarly, if we can see the Iran decisions regarding low and high production, again Iran, for best Iran is to produce high level of at high level, because he will get Iran will get 40 billion of revenues or returns in this case. Now how they can be better off, both of the countries can be better off by producing and while cooperating with each other. Now we'll see that in the first box, if both of the countries produce the oil at high level, both of the countries will get 40 billion as a revenue, right, as a return. अगर सेकंड बॉक्स में हम देखते हैं तो वहाँ पे क्या सूरत हाल है, वहाँ पे इराक इज प्रोड्यूसिंग एट लो लेवल एंड ईरान इज प्रोड्यूसिंग एट हाई लेवल. सो व्हेन इराक इज प्रोड्यूसिंग एट लो लेवल, Iraq will get 30 billion revenue in return, and then Iran will get 60 billion. So here Iran is getting more because Iran is producing at high level, so he is supplying more oil in the market, so he will get more returns. Now if we'll come in the third box, where is the opposite case, Iran is producing at low level, Iraq is producing at high level. So Iraq of course is getting more revenues in return, which is 60 billion US dollar, and Iran is getting 30 billion only. When we comes to the fourth box, when they cooperate with each other, if they make cartel and they decide to produce the oil at low level, they will get 50 billion US dollar. So this if they cooperate if they cooperate with each other and decide to produce the oil at low level, so both of the countries are getting 50 billion US dollar in return, right? So if they produce separately, without considering or without cooperating with other, हमने देखा कि उस जो then most countries are not better off, maybe one country is better off, other is worse off. But if both cooperate of producing high production or low production, so if they produce high production, they are getting less revenue as compared to if they cooperate to produce at low level. So the best strategy, the Nash equilibrium for the two countries is to produce at low level and supply the oil in the market and get the revenue of 50 billion US dollar by each country. This is how we can explain the oligopoly game with the reference to the dominant strategy. So the dominant strategy की जब हम बात करते हैं तो दोनों कंट्रीज के लिए डोमिनेंट स्ट्रेटजी ये है कि हाई प्रोड्यूस करें, राइट. हाई प्रोड्यूस जब करते हैं तो कोऑपरेट नहीं करते तो एक कंट्री को फायदा होता है, दूसरे को नुकसान होता है. लेकिन जब हम ये बात करते हैं कि when they cooperate and decide to produce, and then the best strategy or the Nash equilibrium would be when they decide to produce at low level and they get the maximum revenue, maximum benefit out of this game, or by cooperating with each other. Now we'll continue to explain the game theory and the economics of cooperation further, and oligopoly as with another example where we'll try to explain if they consider self-interest, and then it is difficult when they consider self-interest of each of the buyer consider self-interest of their on, then it is difficult for the oligopoly to maintain a cooperative outcome and with the low production and high prices and monopoly profit. जैसा कि हमने अभी पिछली एग्जांपल में बात की कि जब फर्म्स कोऑपरेट नहीं करती तो क्या होता है कि उनकी प्रोडक्शन भी हाई होती है बट दे आर अर्निंग लेस प्रॉफिट. बट इफ दे कोऑपरेट दे आर प्रोड्यूसिंग लेस, दे आर सप्लाइंग लेस, बट दे आर चार्जिंग हाई प्राइस, हाई मोनोपोली प्राइस, एंड दे गेट मैक्सिमम प्रॉफिट एंड दे एक्ट लाइक ए मोनोपोलिस्टिक फर्म, एंड दिस इज हाउ दे कैन मेक कार्टल्स और ग्रुप्स. इसी चीज़ को हम एक और एग्जांपल के जरिए एक्सप्लेन करते हैं. स्लाइड में अगर देखें एक साइड पे ऊपर हमारे पास डिसीजन ऑफ द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स is to keep arms or disarms. The United States has to make decision regarding arms and disarming, and similarly USSR, Soviet Union, they have to make decision regarding arming and disarming. Now again we have four possibilities. If both of the countries arm, so of course both of the countries are at risk. If USA decides to disarm and USSR decide to arm the country, so then USS is at risk and weak, and USSR safe and powerful. And opposite is case that when USA decides to keep arm and USSR decides to disarm the country, right? In that case, when USA decides to keep arm in the country, that case USA is safe and powerful country. And if USSR is going to disarm the country, and then of course USSR is at risk and weak in that case. And the fourth possibility is when both countries decide to disarm both of the countries. So in that case, both countries are at safe. Now, what is the best strategy? Now, the dominant strategy for each of the country is that not to disarm, right? But when they decide not to disarm, of course, one of the country is better off, the other country is not better off, right? And they are not safe, and they are at risk, and they are weak. But if they decide to, both of them decide to keep arm, of course, both of the countries are at risk. The best strategy or the best combination is that they cooperate with each other. When they cooperate with each other, so the Nash Equilibrium or the best strategy would be in the fourth जो box आपको नीचे नज़र आ रहा है, जहाँ पे दोनों cooperate करते हैं and they decide to keep disarming their country, right? So when they disarm their countries, so the best strategy will be in the last box where both of the countries are safe. Now, why people sometimes cooperate? Why they want to cooperate? Why the countries want to cooperate? Why the firms want to cooperate? Why they should cooperate? And the firms that care about future profits will cooperate in repeated games rather than cheating in a single game to achieve a one-time gain, right? तो यहाँ पे हम repeated games की आपके कोर्स में ये चीज़ शामिल नहीं है, तो most of the time जब गेम एक repeat होती है, इसको एक से दो दफ़ा तीन दफ़ा repeat करते हैं, तो firms try to cooperate with each other and try to get maximum benefit. But in case rather than cheating in a single game, जैसा कि हमने अभी एक गेम प्ले की, and in this case to achieve a one time gain, एक one time gain करने के एक दूसरे को cheat करने से बेहतर है कि they should repeat games and try to cooperate with each other to get maximum benefit for both of the players, both of the firms, both of the countries. Now we'll talk about the public policy toward oligopolies. Now, cooperation among oligopolists is undesirable from the standpoint of society as a whole because it leads to production that is too low and prices that they are charging are too high. So, जब हम public policy की बात करते हैं कि oligopoly की तरह public policies क्या होनी चाहिए, तो this basically from the standpoint of customers or society, this is undesirable, this is not good for the society because the firms, when they cooperate, when they make cartel, they act like a monopolistic firm. Their production is too low and the price which they charge is too high, right? So the government want to restrain or restrict monopolies, and how they can do that, the government want to restrain and restrict oligopolies when they make cartel and act like a monopolistic firm. So government की कोशिश होती है कि इसको रोका जाए, prohibit किया जाए, मना किया जाए cartels बनाने से, and how they can do that. So the possibility is that by introducing antitrust laws that make it illegal to restrain trade to attempt to monopolize a market. तो जैसा कि हमने पिछले लेक्चर में भी हमने बात की थी, तो there are two acts which are being implemented by the government in United States, like Sherman Act, Antitrust Act of 1890, and then Clayton Act of 1914. Now, but there are controversies over antitrust policies by the government, and these controversies exist between economists and the policymakers, and of course of the business practices done by the firms. Now, antitrust policies sometimes may not allow businesses practices that have potentially positive effects. तो sometime जो गवर्नमेंट लॉज बनाती है, एंटी ट्रस्ट लॉज बनाती है, तो sometime कुछ ऐसी बिजनेस प्रैक्टिसेस को भी वो रोक देते हैं या डिस्करेज करते हैं जिनका एक्चुअली पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट होता है सोसाइटी पे, पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट होता है इकोनॉमीज पे. तो देयर आर controversies which exist for those antitrust laws कि जो कि सम टाइम कुछ ऐसी बिजनेस प्रैक्टिसेस को भी रोक देते हैं या मना करते हैं या डिस्करेज करते हैं जिसकी वजह से पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट होता है, इम्पैक्ट होता है सोसाइटी पे और इकोनॉमी पे. वो कौन कौन सी बिजनेस प्रैक्टिसेस हैं जिन पे इनका नेगेटिव जिन पे एंटी ट्रस्ट लॉज का नेगेटिव इफेक्ट होता है बट पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट होता है सोसाइटीज पे अगर वो काम सही तरीके से करें. तो वी हैव फ्यू एग्जांपल्स ऑफ दोज business practices, and first we talk about resale price maintenance or free trade. What is that? Now, resale price maintenance occurs when suppliers like an wholesaler requires retailers to charge a specific amount. Suppose इसकी हम example देते हैं, if we buy, as we know that suppose we talk about Sony is this, and the firm or the industry or the factory, if the wholesale, if the Sony sell products, their products, like if they sell TVs or LCDs to the retailers, so they sell their product at a certain price. Suppose if they sell an LCD to a retailers at a price of 100,000 rupees, now and then they ask the retailer to sell LCD in the market or to the customer at 120,000. So that is known as the resale price maintenance. जैसे कि हमने कहा कि सोनी ने एक LCD जो रिटेलर को बेची as a wholesaler, he sold an LCD to the retailer at a price of 100,000, 1 लाख पे बेची, और साथ ही उसे कहा रिटेलर को कि you have to sell this product in the market at a price of 120,000, 1,20,000 पे बेचेंगे. तो this sort of phenomena or practice is known as the resale price maintenance. So this is good for the retailers if they sell at a different price than the price in which they have purchased, because they are in the market, they want to get money, they want to get earn profit. But sometimes antitrust laws discourage these kind of situation. So this is one of the business practices example in which antitrust laws sometimes may not allow to practice these business practices. Second example is about predatory prices. Now, what is that predatory prices? This occurs when a large firm begins to cut the price of its product with the intent of driving its competitor out of the market. इसकी example हम लेते हैं कि for example हम PIA की बात करते हैं. PIA is one of the biggest firm in the country. Now, and if there is a new firm which entered in this airline industry in Pakistan, like for example if we talk about Air Blue is the new firm which has entered in the industry. अगर PIA as a biggest firm ये कोशिश करती है कि प्राइस कम कर दे कस्टमर्स के लिए और टिकट्स को लोअर प्राइस पे सेल करे, तो this would be a difficult for the Air Blue to exist in the market, because but sometimes this practice is not considered as a good practice because PIA को क्या होगा कि PIA may be selling the tickets at a loss. They will not be getting a profit. But why they are doing this? What they want to do this? They want to make their competitor out from the market. Competitor को market से निकालना चाहते हैं, इसलिए अपनी वो चीज़ की product की प्राइस कम कर रहे हैं. तो एक बड़ी फर्म है, एक छोटी फर्म है. तो बड़ी फर्म जब होती है तो उसकी कोशिश होती है कि छोटी फर्म्स को भगा दिया जाए, मार्केट से निकाल दिया जाए, so that all of the market should be captured by the biggest firm, must be with the बिगेस्ट फर्म, तो उसके लिए वो कोशिश करती है कि प्राइस कम कर देती है, लेकिन समटाइम उसको नुकसान भी होता है। दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ practice is known as the predatory pricing, right? तो एंटी ट्रस्ट लॉज जो हैं किसी मुल्क में भी जो होते हैं तो इसके सम टाइम अगेंस्ट जाते हैं, इस प्रैक्टिस को डिस्करेज करते हैं, बट इट इज़ गुड फॉर सम टाइम द बेनिफिट ऑफ द सोसाइटी, गुड फॉर द economy. Now tying as another example, when a firm offer 2 or more of its products together at a single price rather than separately, right? Tying ये कर sometime कुछ firms ऐसी होती हैं जो कि products को jointly बेचना चाहती हैं, इकट्ठा करके बेचना चाहती हैं। अगर एक प्रोडक्ट की क्वालिटी अच्छी है दूसरी की अच्छी नहीं है, तो इसी तरह जब वो इकट्ठा करके बेचती हैं तो they can sell both of the products, right? And they can more money, more price, more profit, right? While selling those two products differently. अगर separately अगर बेचते हैं, जो अच्छी चीज़ है वो बिक जाएगी, जो अच्छी चीज़ नहीं है वो नहीं बिकेगी, तो ओवरऑल फर्म को नुकसान होगा. But if they sell these two products while tying each other, so then they can get more benefit. This is one of the practice. इस practice को भी sometime government, judges और antitrust laws जो है discourage करते हैं. तो sometimes antitrust laws discourage some of the business practices which are good for the individuals, good for the customers, good for the country, and we have given few examples like resale price maintenance, we have talked about predatory pricing जिसकी हमने example भी दी, and we have talked about tying. So this is how the public policy or the antitrust laws can work in case of oligopolies. So this is the end of the lecture. Before ending our lecture, we'll try to revise what we have learned today. So we started to discuss a new market structure today. We have talked about oligopolistic market structure, and this is one of the form of imperfect competition. तो सबसे पहले हमने बात की how this is different from monopoly and perfect competition. So this is somewhere between monopoly and perfect competition. और हमने कहा कि how the oligopolistic firm can maximize their profit. They can maximize their profit by making cartels or by collusion. So if they make cartels, so they act like a monopolistic firm. When they act like a monopolistic firm, they charge price greater than marginal cost, and so they maximize their profit. If oligopolistic make decisions about production level individually, so the result is greater quantity and lower price, and then under monopoly if they cooperate with each other. So the prisoner dilemma shows that the self-interest can prevent people from maintaining cooperation even when cooperation is in their mutual self-interest. तो sometime जब हमने prisoner dilemma की बात की, तो जब सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट को कंसीडर करते हैं तो दे कंसीडर दैट इज बेटर as compared to if they cooperate with each other, but they know that if they cooperate they make cartel that is in the best interest of the both of the prisoners. The logic of prisoner, ये भी हमने सीखा कि the logic of prisoner dilemma applies in many situations including oligopolies. तो हमने बात की, जैसा कि हमने दो एग्जांपल्स आपको दिखाई, डिस्कस की आपके साथ, जहां एक हमने दो कंट्रीज़ की बात की जो कि ऑयल प्रोड्यूस करती हैं, ईरान और इराक की बात की. व्हाट इज़ बेस्ट स्ट्रेटजी, व्हाट इज़ डोमिनेंट स्ट्रेटजी फॉर ईच when they consider self-interest of their own countries and when they cooperate. So when they are at when we have a Nash Equilibrium, so ये सब हमने डिस्कस किया आज के लेक्चर में. And finally we have discussed how policymaker can use the antitrust law to prevent oligopolies from engaging in the behavior that reduce competition, right? So इसकी भी हमने आज बात की. We'll finish our lecture here. So till next class, Allah Hafiz, and see you in next class.